What's going on, Internet? The Black Cog here, aka TBH, on behalf of GamingIlluminaughty.com, and I got with me today JG. Say what up to the people.
Hey, what up? We're here again, knocking this shit out.
Yeah, and we got Ethos with us today. Say what up to the people, Ethos.
Yo, what up? What up?
Yeah, and welcome. Okay, well, welcome to another game review for GI. Today we are talking Detroit Human Revolution. Wait, is that what it's called? Revolution. I'm playing man. It's obviously Mankind Divided. Come on, guys. What's the name? This is a game that I know. What's the name? Ethos is really looking forward to because it takes place in Detroit. It's a PS4 exclusive in the vein. It's kind of like what was that other game that they had the motion controls and shit with the
like Heavy Rain?
Heavy Rain. I was gonna say not Telltale. I would say it's more like Heavy Rain.
Beyond Good or Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah. This was a game that I had. Were y'all anticipating this game at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't at all. Like my chat kept asking me to play it. I was like, "There's nothing to play." I was like, "All right." So I guess let me ask y'all: did it live up to y'all expectations since y'all were anticipating it?
It exceeded it.
Wow. Okay. What about you, Jay?
To be honest with
I would have to agree. Like, I wanted to play the game, but honestly, I didn't have any expectations for it. I just figured, like, I was like, well, you know, what the hell, to try it out. Maybe it'll be a good story. But man, this shit ended up being kind of deep, man. So yeah.
Okay. And before we get into the story, just know the spoilers are on the table. If you haven't finished the game, spoilers are on the table. I'm letting you know this is a spoiler cast. Also, if you've never seen one of our reviews, stay to the end of the video. We'll each give our individual scores, then I'll throw into a calculator, average it, and that will be the official GI score. All right, let's talk story. So Detroit is a shithole, still in the future. So that was pretty. I was like, wow, that's pretty accurate.
Part of it, smaller part. The majority of Detroit was actually very beautiful looking.
Yeah, it was still some areas.
It was kind of hard to scale it. Okay, we only really saw two sides. Okay,
look, as the Detroit resident, y'all can't say shit about anything in the video. I can actually say they actually did research because I could point out multitudes of places in there that actually exist currently. Like,
that was going to be my question. That was definitely going to be my question. Anything was
so it was GTA 5 accurate.
It was very accurate. Like, they had the GM buildings. They had, I forgot the other building, but they had a couple of buildings. There's actually places there that I actually go there constantly for work. So, like, it was actually pretty funny when they were in a scene, and I was like, "Yo, isn't that like Campus Martians or something like that?" And I was like, "Oh my god, it is!" Like, where they well, this goes into the story thing, but you know the fight they have at the end, the war. So that takes down literally that fight happens on the street where I work, and they are attacking basically the dug-in places, what's called Hart's Plaza, and it also has the Fist of Detroit, the Black Fist there as well. Like that was actually really cool, and they actually had it was actually very accurate, which I thought was really surprising. They actually definitely did their research on the city.
Okay. What's the name? So the year is 2038, I believe. And then this is not too far off. In the near future, androids are now a thing. They're super intelligent, and humans use them for everyday life. Some are hired to do. Basically, they've taken over everything. Basically, it's android gentrification. They've taken over the jobs. They've become maids. Certain humans are upset. They took our jobs. No longer. Yeah. And somewhere along the lines, different androids start to become self-aware. They're referred to as deviants, and the public thinks that it's some type of malfunction in their system. And basically, deviants break their protocol, and they can do whatever they want. And these androids, they start to think, well, what does it mean to become human? Basically the title. The story's told through 3 different androids. They have 3 different stories that intertwine with one another. Let's start off with that. How did y'all feel about how they actually told the story, Jay? Did you like that kind of chapter, 3 different character style?
Yeah, I thought that I was going to be highly annoyed with Connor, the first android that you play with, but he ended up being probably one of the more interesting ones just because of how
fuck him.
Yo, leave Connor alone, bro.
Nah, Connor was actually all right because I felt like he had the biggest breakthrough when it came to like actually like becoming human and understanding humans versus androids and how all of that goes. But I definitely I thought the owls were gonna be boring too, but she ended up being all right. I feel like she kind of had one of the weaker stories out of the 3. Mark is obviously the more.
You're talking about
Kara.
I mean, not Alice, Kara. Sorry,
yeah,
I'm talking about the kid.
Kara Danvers, Supergirl. Kara Danvers.
Technically, you're
yeah,
not wrong.
Kara. My bad. I thought Kara actually had the weakest story to me. and then Marcus was more of the self-righteous ones. I mean, it was Jesse Williams, for goodness sake, as an android. So we already know how Jesse Williams get down. So it was super self-righteous on that one. But he ended up having the biggest impact, obviously, with the actual story and how everything went about, depending on your action.
I thought Kara started off the strongest. It's just like the rest of the game, it became a babysitting simulator.
It did start off the strongest, but it ended up being just a regular story. Like, I want to be the mother, and I want to get you away from this. And I was just like, okay, like it was still cool. And then, like, once you got to the end of it, you know, depending on your choices, of course. But I was more engaged with Connor's and Marcus' story. So, but I actually did I like how everything intertwined. Like, we knew that they were going to meet up or have some sort of connection as you progress through the story. But it was interesting how they ended up playing everything out, because like I couldn't really recall any one point in that entire playthrough where I saw it coming, where I actually predicted it, because obviously, like, you did have a huge factor in what ended up happening throughout the story. So I definitely like that. It's interesting to see, regardless of, like, you know, the Telltale games where, like, your choices kind of matter, but they really don't when you get to the end of whatever episode. But I feel like Detroit Become Human did a good job in actually giving you, like, a clear-cut choice in what you want to do, how you want to progress it. So I like every single character. I just feel like Kara was the weakest.
How did you feel about the characters and the way the story was told? Did you feel like it was a good format, Ethos?
Yeah, I think the story was actually very well written. I really loved the story. I loved all the characters. There wasn't really like one character that I despised, which was surprising because I'm on JG's side. Like, when I first interacted with Connor, I was like, oh, this is the Boy Scout. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna hate Connor. But Connor actually had like one of the more intriguing, I guess, storylines of all of them.
So let me ask you, y'all played Paragon then? Because y'all both seem to say Connor had a great story. I don't know, I killed that nigga, bro.
You probably, like, again, like, it all depends on, you know, what the choices you made. Because I watched a lot of people, different people play it and their perspectives, and it seems like if you, like, for example, some people didn't like Hank at all, but in my playthrough, everybody in the chat really liked Hank. But then, like, when they were like in like Aces, or I think Jay, you kept yours alive, right? JG, you kept Hank alive?
Nah, Hank ended up.
Died? Yeah, he so. Like, if you went into depth to figure out like who they were as a person and stuff like that, then people started to gain a connection to, like, people like Hank, and they were like, yeah, Hank was actually cool. But then someone like an Aces or something like that, or I don't know if it was Ace, it was somebody, but like they didn't really look into like why Hank was the way that he was. Why did he quote unquote hate Android?
That was me. That's why you didn't like.
It was you, Jay. Okay, yeah.
It was me.
So people who see that, they think Hank is just an asshole, and you know, and there's nothing to him. But he actually has like a deeper side. And I think that's the coolest thing about all the game is you get what you put into the game. So like, if you really like want to learn more about these characters, you can, and it's nothing like surface level. Like, everyone feels like they're an actual person. No one feels like they're just following a script and doing what they're going to be told. And I really like how they didn't push immediately, like them intertwining with each other. Like, I don't know if you guys had that same aspect, but it felt like when Kara's storyline first starts to hit Connor's, like, I didn't see that coming, and I was like, oh shit, because then there's this weird part of the game where basically you can control both characters simultaneously, and you have to make a choice which will impact the other person. And so then it really comes down to the player being like, do I like Connor more than Kara? Do I want Kara to escape Connor? Because like, there are moments where you can like, what was it? They were chasing Kara, right? And you could have made it where like Connor could actually catch up and capture them, and then that would have totally changed the entire story. Or you could make it where you purposely make sure Connor can't catch them, and then they get away. So I think like stuff like that is like really what makes the game really stand out. Like, from what you said, JG, where it's like Telltale's where the choices really don't matter. They say they matter, but they don't. This is like one of the fewest games since like Mass Effect where I really felt like the choices really did make an impact throughout the entire game.
I think a testament too to the amount of different choices that you had in the game is like there would be certain chapters where like I would finish it and it would say I'd finish it like 80 to 90%. I got all the choices. And then there would be other chapters where it say I got like 20%. And like it would literally show you like a graph of everything that you missed. I'm like, damn, like who didn't I talk to? Like, it felt like I had a fulfilling conversation, but apparently I fucked up.
Yeah, apparently you missed stuff. And I think that's cool too, because I know some people complained about it. They said it was too, I guess it kind of pulls you out of the immersion of it, because now you know, like, but I thought it was really interesting because it makes you understand that your choices did have some weight, and that it could have gone a completely different way, but it leaves that mystery aspect there, because now you want to go back and be like, let me go back and try something different and see what it will unlock on the flow chart and stuff like that.
That replayability was endless when you look at that tree.
Yeah, there's a lot of replayability with this game, which I find is really cool.
which you wouldn't even expect in a game like this, but I've seen people doing multiple playthroughs. What's the name? So the first character that we ran into was it Hank? Not Hank. Who's the one that hangs out with Hank? The one that I hated.
You mean Connor?
Yeah, Connor. Yeah, the Boy Scout. The Boy Scout. The Boy Scout.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about his storyline, Jay?
Well, like I said before, I felt like in the beginning I was just like, well, he's just going to be like a typical cop, like the typical android cop, and do what he's told and blah blah blah. But again, as you progress through the story, like he actually gets very very interesting, because I feel like he, out of all of the androids, was supposed to be like the most perfect. Like he's supposed to just stick by the rules, he's supposed to do every single thing that he's told. But as you progress, like again, he starts to understand humans more, and he's like, should I be like this? Like, why am I agreeing and why am I being obedient to every single thing that everybody is telling me?
He was the preacher's daughter.
Yeah, and then you get the whole parts with Amanda, which was that in his mind?
I was just about to ask that. I was like, is that Amanda Waller from the Suicide Squad? Like, what is that?
Right? Everybody was saying that. Everybody was saying
who is she talking to?
But yeah, so in his mind, like he was, he kept having these interactions with her, and of course, depending on what your choices are, you can either become more of a what they said, it was an instability with him, depending on your choices. So you can like literally like make an impact. Like, do you want to become more of a deviant, or do you want to still do as you're told and appease Amanda? So like it was pretty crazy, like how he ended up being, and what I did in my story, I ended up making him a deviant after all. Because that's just the role that I wanted to take. I didn't want him to continue to obey. Even though Hank ended up dying, I still ended up kind of like being, if he would still be alive, I kind of want to have been in his good graces, doing like what is supposed to be the best thing for humankind. So like it was pretty crazy with his story. I actually liked his probably the most.
That's wild. I didn't like his face. I didn't like his voice. He just had a punchable face. He just had a punchable face to me. I didn't like him from the beginning. He was a Boy Scout. I don't know. He was the one I was like, can we get to the next chapter? Which would actually be Kara. I kept calling her Kara Danvers, fucking Supergirl. So with her storyline, we find out that the dad is abusing the daughter, and he's smoking on them Pop Rocks. That future Detroit crack. Did you know what that drug was? What's that drug they're smoking in the Detroit? Red sand or whatever.
Like red ice or something.
Red ice.
That shit was wild. Like at the beginning when she was like cleaning up and he was just smoking it right in front of her. I'm like, hey, yo.
Demon,
yeah, I'm like, hey, yo.
Just popping out, yeah.
You have a kid in here.
Like usually, like at least like from my experience, like a junkie usually will go to the bathroom at least or something outside. Yeah. My man was like, fuck it, I'm watching the game. I'm smoking this red sand. Yeah.
He was just like,
like how you smoking it and getting more mad. I was like, geez.
Just getting more mad.
It was at one point I thought he like OD'd because he got mad at like her, and that's what you're talking about. He was like, and then he leaned back. I was like,
he was making when he was in the chair, he was just like he was making some grunting sounds, and I was like, well, is he okay? Like, is he dying?
I'm like, whoa. So she's like cleaning the crib. She finds pictures of the kid abusing the family, him abusing the family. She finds his gun. She puts 2 and 2 together that the kid is being abused, so she ends up saving the kid. You end up killing I ended up killing the dad. Did y'all not do that choice?
Ace did.
Nah.
Apparently, I had no clue. Ted could actually live the entire time.
Yeah, I didn't know. I shot him.
Yeah, you had a choice not to shoot him. So did you actually see what happens when you don't shoot him?
Yeah,
Nah.
Ace showed me. He shows up at the late game and basically almost fucks over Kara.
God damn! So he was stalking.
Remember the bus terminal? That final part. He'll actually appear there and like call you out, and like you almost get snitched on. Like I think it depends on certain things you say, but I think one part of it is he'll snitch and tell them, and then you're basically fucked, or he'll like actually let you guys go.
So I made the right decision. I killed him.
Yeah, you killed him.
So after that, they go on this whole adventure all throughout town. She's babysitting and she's starting to get these motherly intuitions. She wants to be the mother of the kid. I think the part that kind of pissed me off about the whole story is the plot twist when you get to the Resistance and you find out the little girl was actually an android. and she wasn't actually human. How did y'all feel
I was
about
like,
that?
bruh.
I like that. That was crazy.
Man, fuck that shit,
That
bruh.
was crazy. I mean, she did all that shit, and it wasn't even real.
And it wasn't even real. What?
She caught feelings. She
I
caught
was
feelings.
like, man, how did this happen? And Luther was like, look, I got something to tell you about Alice.
Yeah,
She like,
kept saying
I love
that.
how the black guy just knew it too.
Yeah,
like,
he was
this bitch
"Yo,
is
we
fake,
gotta
bro.
talk."
Like-
Yeah.
said, Kara, like, you need to take
Dara, you need to pay
So, like,
attention. You
so
know
hold
what
up.
you're doing?
Let's talk about this first of all. So when that revelation came, I just instantly started thinking. I was like, hey, yo. So did the dad buy a child robot
Yes.
just to beat the little
He
bitch
did,
up? Like,
yo.
what? Like, that is wild.
I think either the mom took the daughter,
The real daughter?
or I think the daughter died, and the real daughter died, and the two of them broke up, and she cheated on him for the account or whatever.
Yeah, I think he blamed himself and inadvertently blamed the kid,
And
which
so
was
as a
the
way,
android.
and that would
Yeah,
explain all the bills and stuff like that. That car then flashbacks to, because I when I watched, because I had my roommates, they're playing it again, or they're playing it for the first time, so I'm watching them play it, just like laughing. And I noticed is that when you first play the game in the beginning, when she sees the piece of paper that that shows Alice as an actual android, she like the game doesn't show you that. She just looks at it weirdly, but she ignores it like it's nothing else. And then they flash back it later, and then you're just like, oh shit, it was actually not real. So
yeah, because apparently he was beating Alice and Kara, and that's why
he's
Kara
beating
ended up having to get manufactured again, and then he came back. I was like, so that's crazy. So yeah, he was beating both their asses.
And there were signs there. It's just I just never caught them because like somebody pointed out to me in the chat. They was like, yeah, like peep how he was like, notice how she never ate throughout the whole game. She always denied food.
Yeah,
I was like, that made sense. Now I was like, yeah, she was an
I didn't
android.
peep that. Yeah, I didn't peep that.
because
First.
they mentioned it multiple times. I think when they went to the amusement park and some other parts, like they were like, you gotta eat, you gotta stay strong. And like I
Never once did you mentally question like, yeah, when is this little girl eating? Like,
yeah, because like they always have it where like some other event pops off and she just doesn't eat, and because something else happens.
Yeah,
and I was like, wait a minute, this makes sense now.
I was stuck throughout the entire thing because she kept saying that she was cold, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
do androids get cold or hot? Like, you never really saw Kara complain about it, or Luther. You just always saw
Kara did
Alice
towards the
complain
end of
about
the game. The hot and the cold kind of made sense with the androids because you could argue their parts are overheating or they're getting frozen. So maybe I don't know if they necessarily feel it, but maybe their systems they could feel their system shutting down.
They
Maybe.
showed it with Alice's machine that her system allows her to feel cold. Like even though she's not really cold, it can make her.
She can acknowledge it,
Yeah,
but
and
it's
you
just
could turn it
cold.
off or not. Yeah, or
Oh,
make
well.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that was an interesting plot twist, and then we had the third character, light skinned JG. We got to play, aka Jesse Williams. I found it funny that Jesse Williams basically played himself in the game.
Yeah, literally, he plays himself.
I was like, was this on purpose? So he's
Well,
leading.
perfect role for him.
Jesse Williams plays Martin Luther Robo.
or Killmonger. You can turn him into.
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah, I had more
Yeah.
Killmonger.
Yeah.
So yeah, he starts off just being like an assistant to a painter. In my storyline, the drug addict son ends up killing the dad, and then he blames it. He tells the police,
What?
What? So I was like, so you didn't see this storyline?
No, I pushed him and I broke his neck.
Okay. Wow.
I didn't do that.
Yeah. Okay. So in my storyline, when the son pulls up, he's asking for money. Clearly, he's a
Right.
junkie, and we get into a fight or whatever. And I don't do anything, and he ends up killing the dad. The police show up, and the son instantly blames me, and the police literally just go boom, 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 and they just
Yeah, I
shoot
got
you.
shot. Yeah, that same thing happened.
So then you wake up in a
Wow.
graveyard. Yeah, you wake up in a
Yeah,
graveyard.
yeah.
You had to fix yourself and shit.
Yeah,
And then
Okay, so what happened in your story? Ethos?
yeah, how did you get to the
What happened?
revolution?
that nigga pushed me. and I said, and he kept saying, this isn't fair, this isn't fair. And so it gave me a chance to either endure him just like bullying me or to push him back. And I said, fuck you. And I pushed him, but I guess because I was an android, I pushed him too hard. And so, you know, that little like robotic thing that like picks
The
him up,
arm? Yeah.
Yeah. He hit his neck on it and he was like, oh, fuck. And he got knocked. Yeah, I knocked him out with it. And so I thought I killed him. I thought I broke his neck and killed him. But he got put on like in a coma, basically. And so then the cops come in right when like literally I'm over his body, and like Leo, his father's like crying over him, and he's yelling at me. He's saying, you have to leave now. The cops are coming. Like he wasn't even really like mad at me. He was just more like, you gotta escape because they're gonna kill you. And like I'm just like froze, like I don't know what to do. And then the cops come through
Android
and they do the same
sympathizer.
thing. Yeah, and then they shoot me, and then like you guys, like I end up in the graveyard.
So either way, you die.
They still ended up shooting you.
You still end up shooting, but
Okay.
there's a different person who will take the injury, I guess.
Interesting.
Okay,
Yeah.
true.
What's the name? So yeah, that after you fix yourself in the graveyard, when you wake up, that puts a little spark in his head. He has to find this group known as Jericho. They're this underground movement of androids that want to be treated as equal humans.
Can I say that was the worst part of the game?
Yeah, I felt like they were a little too welcoming for a guy.
Wasn't that whole segment?
The Assassin's Creed?
Picking
Assassin's
puzzles
Creed
out of the
Detroit.
wall. That shit was so fucking boring.
Hardcore, boy.
So boring.
Yeah, there were certain parts where I couldn't even see it, and I'm like, "Am I blind?" And like,
Yeah.
like
I was like,
people were like, "It's right there." I'm like, "I don't see it."
Yeah.
But yeah, that Assassin's Creed part was weird. He finds Jericho, joins. They're very welcoming. They instantly make him the leader. And for me, this is basically where the turning point becomes. You basically set off and do a bunch of different like demonstrations, and all of them, I basically was just like, "Fuck humans. We want equal rights, or we're gonna kill you." That's what I did. What did y'all do?
Before that, wasn't there? Didn't you guys go rob the thing? What was it? They try to get supplies. Yeah. Is that what they made them
Yeah,
over
the blue blood. Yeah.
How did you guys actually have to like? Did you bum rush it out, or were you able to stealth it the entire way?
I left the dude, the black security guard.
Yeah,
I let him come with me. I got the truck though.
I
trust
took
him.
him with me. Okay.
I didn't understand that when I touched him at first that I converted him. I didn't get that because like I feel like they didn't really explain that too well.
They didn't explain it.
They didn't explain it till later in the
This
game.
man ended up being God at the end, yo. He just raised his hands up and was just like, "Here, come with me." I was like, "Yo, this nigga is Jesus, yo. He Robo Jesus."
Yeah, they got to a certain point where like you were breaking into certain places downtown and like vandalizing statues and stuff, and the police pull up. They shot a couple of my people in Jericho. I ended up killing the police. Did y'all kill the police?
Hell yeah, I shot the police.
I killed him.
And you know what's funny? The best part about that was when I was streaming it. I was like, "This is my favorite part of the game: shooting the police." Right? Somebody in the chat was like, "Not cool, bro." I was like, "I don't give a fuck."
Literally in real life.
Let me have my fun. You have yours.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that was cool. How you could do.
and then like the
I did
public
pilot
perception
route.
changes.
Yeah, because I went to a riot, so we just started destroying a bunch of shit and setting shit on fire. It was like the Detroit riots.
It was real. It was real.
Right. Yeah, it's the Detroit riots all over again. So
let me ask y'all: how did y'all, Jay? How did you feel about the controls in this game? Did you feel they were intuitive, counterintuitive?
In the beginning, it took a little bit getting used to because like they don't really give you an indicator whether you should hold a button or continuously pressing the button sometimes. So like, especially when you're in the middle of things, like it was difficult. And that's if you're playing on like the normal controls. Cause I know like there's simple controls too when it's not really directional presses. It's just button presses. But I was like, yo, like I got caught up on some things, but as time progressed and I ended up getting more acclimated to the controls, like it ended up being pretty decent. I didn't really see like any problems, but I was like, man, like they got me doing like Zangief directional presses for doing this stuff. I was like, yo, this was kind of crazy. I was
You had
like,
to
yo,
shake
just
that
all the way around.
bitch.
Shake it,
Like, what is this, the Wii U? Like, what the fuck?
So yeah, like some of those moments were kind of like catching me off guard, and I was like, okay, they're really trying to get me, but overall, I wasn't mad at them. They were cool.
I only got pissed like towards the beginning when I couldn't like. Eventually, I got used to it, but like at the beginning, like it would be certain moments where I couldn't get into the door. Like I would stand in front of the door, and the thing is, it didn't say the left or the right analog stick, so I'm pressing the wrong stick, and I'm just walking in circles. I'm like, hello. So like, I ended up looking stupid.
When I saw that.
I'm like, man, fuck this game. How'd you feel about the controls, Ethos?
They were solid. Definitely way more interaction than like what Telltale's done before, so that was a good plus. Some of them, I agree with JG. Some of them did throw me off in the later, like especially the ones where you have to like toss your controller a certain way.
Those ones, yeah, like the shaking.
Like those are the ones that definitely like almost like scared the shit out of me because you'd be expecting to hit a button and then it says like flick your controller. One time I accidentally like threw my controller out of my hand, so that was actually it was during a chase scene too, so I almost got myself killed doing that.
You need a Wii U mode.
Yeah, I was like, I need the strap, the switch strap.
I would actually argue this is like the best QTE game that I played because, like, I don't know about y'all, like, the last scene where you actually had to go and fight to prove your point or whatever, like on television and shit, like the little gunfight that you had to control your soldiers. It almost felt like a shooter, like
you were aiming and shooting.
Yeah, you had the
strategy part of it.
It felt like what's the, like an XCOM type of game.
XCOM,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of XCOM, yeah.
Yeah, it was like they should implement more of that, just kind of like strategy moving and stuff like that. That was pretty fun. I would like to definitely see more of that because there's definitely going to be a sequel based off the ending that I got.
Yeah, because it feels like it adds extra immersion to it. Like when you're actually doing the control, what the character is doing at the exact same time, it feels good. Like especially like the war segment, all the cutscenes. Like when Marcus or Connor were fighting people, it felt right when you were like clicking the buttons that prompted it. And then especially the Jericho chase scene, the whole little segment of them trying to get away, that shit was really good with the QTs as well.
Okay. What's the name? Did you guys have any gripes with the game? I'll give y'all one. This wasn't a personal gripe of mine, but once I read like the article and like I started thinking about it, I was like, I can see the point.
Don't read articles; they're fake
No.
news.
But it's not just articles. It's several people that have played the game that I follow, and they've been making the same article, the same argument. They were saying that this game was very tone deaf, in a sense that like you had the black android that was fighting it. Like it felt like a simplified version of like slavery and like just problems that are going on in America. Like, I guess they wanted, like, a more deeper, introspective version of the story. Just felt kind of shallow. Would you agree with that point? Or were you or you just didn't care because it was a game?
It's a game. Like,
I'm
not, like...
I feel both sides.
You could play Nier. Like, I'd play Nier Automata if I wanted that deeper side to it. Like, I'd just play that game, and that would give me... Because the Nier and this game have similar themes that cross each other.
I feel both sides, because, like, at one point, it's a game, but on the other hand, like, I seen somebody tweet on my timeline, you remember when you met old girl right before you got to Canada, Big Mama and her black son? And basically they were saying like Big Mama is a mammy stereotype, and she feels bad for the androids because she's black and what she's been through in America. I was like, I can see that not only a stereotype. I was like, yeah, that is kind of cheesy. Like it could have been a better writing.
She did say the line, I understand what you
and I even cringed at that point in the stream. I was like, so I can understand.
Yeah, nothing really turned me off. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people, because I forgot what's the name of the person that's like responsible for these games.
David Cage.
Yes, thank you, David Cage. I don't know the history behind David Cage. I know there's a lot of controversy with him doing stupid shit. I try to kind of separate the art from the artist when I can, unless like I absolutely despise the artist. And then also I look at it as the game's not just David Cage. There are thousands of people who worked on this game to make it what it was. That's why you look at the credits, it doesn't just say David Cage. It's a bunch of people. So when it comes to stuff like that, I mean, what I think is that this reminds me a lot of I don't know if you remember when Deus Ex came out, Mankind Divided. Remember they did the whole All Life Matter thing and
that shit was
the
corny.
whole racism thing. And remember how like people were like they were thought, oh, it's political SJW, or and it turned out not to be. But like one thing I gave about that game that I thought was a negative was that you can't have people be oppressed who are from a technological standpoint and from a power standpoint are powerful. It's like you can't have an android that can literally snap a human's neck feel oppressed when literally there's nothing you do unless you take away his augmentations.
That's what made Cyborg's character in fucking Justice League so whack. He was sitting there crying all throughout the movie. Oh, I have a arm that shoots lasers, and I have the God box in my chest. Nigga, shut up! Like you're not oppressed. Yeah, I get what you said.
You have power. You can do something about it.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I feel in this game, it's like I think it's more with Marcus. With Marcus's side, they do kind of show that like they're kind of powerless if you go the whole, I guess, peace MLK route, because they don't fight back. They kind of just get shot and they die and they just keep moving forward. But I think if you go, I don't know if you felt TBH, but I think if you go the Killmonger route, it's harder to feel, I guess, scared of death or oppressed of it, because of like how Connor can just come back every single time after he dies, and how like Marcus is just like, for them, they just throw their lives away because they're fine, or they're becoming human. They'd rather die a human than die like a robot.
I just wanted the Killmonger route because I just do a savage playthrough. Like I didn't really feel any type of way towards the androids, to be honest. Like especially like now that I'm thinking about it, like there was some really cheesy scenes, like the one where you had to spray right before you kill the cops, you had to spray paint everything in the little shopping area and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I remember before you actually went there at nighttime, when you were scouting the area during the day, like there was a point where like one of the androids tripped over his foot and he dropped the owner's bags. And then like the owner slaps him in the back of the head. He's like, "You stupid android, get up!" And then Jesse Williams' character looks and he zooms in. He's like, "That's my people right there. Like, don't you?" It was kind of cheesy. I was like, "Eh."
Yeah. But the funny thing, I think, and it ultimately depends if you care or not. But like when I was doing my playthrough in my chat, it was funny because the story starts off. And like everybody in my chat was literally going one way about, wow, humans are fucking dickheads in this game. Like literally they make humans seem like the worst things, ever. Like Nazis basically. And they're like, they're doing all these horrible things, like they're abusing their robots, they're doing all this horrible shit to them. And then there's the one that thank God, I thought it was gonna be some type of rape shit. I was like, please don't let this be some fucking rape scene. The one where she goes to the mansion with the guy, but he's gonna
I thought that was my favorite rape scene.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, please don't go.
The get out moment.
Yeah, it felt like literally when we started
log out.
Oh my God, I'm getting get out like vibes immediately. But like the funny thing was later in the playthrough, like I went the Savage route too, because I wanted to see how far I could like fuck things up. I was like, let's see how savage we can go. And so I started doing a bunch of savage shit with Marcus. And then the chat changed on me and they were all like, oh, this is fucked up. You shouldn't do that. You can't kill these people. They're innocent, something like that. And I was like, but y'all was telling me 5 minutes ago, y'all was telling me earlier that humans were fucking trash and that the androids were being mistreated. So I don't know. I think it ultimately depends. I feel like I definitely I connected with the thing, I guess, being black, but at the same time, I felt like at points it was just like, okay, like you could have put more thought into this. You didn't
pandering.
Have to do the generic. Yeah, like it was kind of pandering. It was like, okay, I get it. Like there were lines in there where I was like, oh shit, that was definitely for the black people. Like we understood that line. But like in other times, it was just like it felt like there was a deeper level to it at some points, but at other points, it just felt like, hey, let's just show this example of oppression just so we can try to make you feel bad and stuff like that, instead of just
almost like the story was written through the eyes of someone who hasn't experienced it.
Yeah.
A common argument the black folks make.
Yeah. I don't feel like this game is deep enough. Like, oh man, like anybody who plays this game is going to automatically get a good heart, and this is going to cure any type of racism in the world. Like, I don't think that it's anything like that.
I think it's just a game at the end of the day. That hits a more difficult topic that a lot of games wouldn't want to hit. And I don't think it fails. I think it does a decent job at it. Does it do the best job? No. I'd say a good comparison is play this game, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but watch the Detroit movie. That came out, I think.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So that was actually made by a white woman, but I'd say she did a very good job portraying what actually happened. And I think some of the actors, or some of the original, some of the like older, like OG, like black actors back in the day, they were talking about it, and they were like, I think, like you don't necessarily like, we'd want like black people to like, tell the stories obviously about it because they understand, but there's like me too, like I don't have an issue with a different person of a different creed and different religion wants to hit on a topic that's like, let's say, related to the black struggle or related to like oppression, if they come at it from a respectful angle and they're coming at it with the mind to like learn and understand it,
talk to people,
like and talk to people, not just, oh, this is what I've seen on the news and stuff, let me create that. And I think that's where some parts of Detroit Become Human seem kind of cringe, but then I think there are moments in Detroit Become Human where it definitely hits like a good level. So
yeah. The funny thing about this, I felt this game on a deeper level because I not only played this, but I was simultaneously watching Westworld and Altered Carbon at the same time.
Yes, I was too! Oh my god, if you play this game with Westworld, it's like a mind fuckery. It's a straight up really mind fuckery.
Because it's like the same shit. It's really like the same shit. So that was pretty crazy. I'm like, yo, like I'm watching all of these. I'm like absorbing
all these robot shit.
Yeah, all these robot shit. I'm like, man, they're gonna take over.
If you played Nier Automata with all three, you would have just been done at that point.
That's crazy. So I think that's why I hit a little bit deeper for me, just because of that fact. But other than that, like I'm really just taking the game at face value. Like obviously there was a moment like y'all really, really, really try to make Android like black people, talking about hop in the back of the bus and all this stuff. I was like,
forgot about that.
No androids at this bar. I'm like, come on, bro. No blacks, no blacks, no androids. I was like, okay, I get it. And everybody in my channel was like, oh shit, like they really are black people. I was like, this is what they're doing here. Like it was so blatant, like they just threw it in your face. But at the same time, I didn't let that deter me from my overall enjoyment of the game.
True. All right, well, we've actually passed the 30-minute mark. I didn't think we was gonna even talk about it this long, but it's not a lot of gameplay mechanics. Let's not let this one go too long. You got the floor, Jay. What is your official score for Detroit?
For everything that happened, like I really enjoyed this game. Then with the replayability, I'll actually give this game an 8.5.
Wow, 8.5. All right, Ethos, what you score the game out of 10?
So let me think.
I haven't made a video in a while.
It's been a year. Give me a break. Damn, I didn't write a script for this. I'd have to say, overall, like I agree with JG. Like, this is one of the few of these type of games, these like interactive story games that like actually has choices that matter, that actually changes the story. I can see why this game took a lot. I think they started this game in 2013, so I can see why it took them a long time to make it, 5 years or something. The game actually changes to your choices. The characters were cool. There's a ton of replayability. I could play this game at least 3 more times and still have fun. I'd give it a 9. I'm gonna say without a doubt, it's probably so far. I definitely say without a doubt, like there's like little small things that are like that, and obviously if you don't like these type of interactive games, you're not gonna like it. But I'd have to say overall, the experience of it, especially when I was streaming it, it was definitely like it was in my opinion my favorite time ever was streaming. Like that was my favorite time streaming ever playing this game. So I'd give it a 9. Definitely, it's going to be probably on my top 10 games this year.
Okay. Detroit bias.
I knew you were going to say that. He's going to dominate my score for bias.
I get it. I get a game at 8.
9.5 because it's in Detroit.
Nah, you funny. I get a game at 8. I get a game at 8. Just because. I don't know. I had no expectations going into it. I had no intention of playing it, but I was still pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it, but I don't think I enjoyed it as much as y'all, just because I don't know. Like I would have liked to have seen more of a, like I said in that final fight scene, more like kind of like I get it's a point and click adventure, but more I don't know, strategy and like the combat and stuff like that. I would have liked to see just a little bit more activity in it, because even Telltale games, they have some moments where you can control and shoot and stuff like that. So it'd have been nice to have just a little bit more. But I get what it's supposed to be. I'm going to give it an 8. So that's 25.5 when we add those 3 together, divide that by 3. And the final official GI score is an 8.5. You guys satisfied with that?
Yeah,
that's fair. So y'all guys heard our thoughts on Detroit. What does it mean to be a human or something? As we get the androids back into the bus, that'll take some time. Let us know what you guys thought about this video in the comment section below. What you thought about Detroit. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up. Also, if you want to further support us on Patreon at patreon.com/GI updates. We have all different rewards in line for you guys who financially support us, do game giveaways. You can be in different type of videos. You can be on the podcast. We have 2 different podcasts. Of course, you can hop in the Discord and game with us and all that other stuff. So yeah, it's patreon.com/GI updates. There will be a link in the description box below. Other than that, let's wrap this one up. I say peace to everybody. Oh,
bye.
Your move.